All you have to do is call my name and I'll be there on the next train. Where you lead, I will follow. Okay, anyways, we have to move on because this is not a video about food, but fall food is so great. Hi, I have in my hands my fall TBR. I'm so excited to share this with you. You know, as a kid, I never liked any season except for summer. Like, refused to indulge in anything fun of any other season. However, as an adult, first and foremost, we have the yearly rewatch of the Gilmore Girls. Hello, fall is the only season to watch that show in. I will hear no commentary on that, no feedback, nothing, no notes. Secondly, apple picking, pumpkin picking, going to the farm fresh apple cider donuts. I think about farm fresh apple cider donuts, like the warm ones, all year long, and the ones at the supermarket heated up will just not do. Matter of fact, a farm fresh apple cider donut taken home and heated up will also not do. They must be fresh. Also, pumpkin spice everything. Okay, anyways, we have to move on because this is not a video about food, but fall food is so great. Why is fall so magical? Okay, let's talk about the books that I have written on my TBR. I'm very excited. I have kind of split these up into categories that they may or may not fall into. Honestly, I don't pay attention to genres and I'm not very good at that. However, I feel like fall, usually when you think about books in the fall, you categorize it into spooky books, and that includes like thrillers and horrors are both spooky. And then like dark academia vibes, right? Like just these psychologically spooky school stuff. Then there's fantasy, but a very specific type of fantasy. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I associate fantasy with like summer. Anyways, the last one that I don't think I ever necessarily associate fall with is romance, but there are some romances that I didn't know where to put them in this list and I want to read. So anyways, this is a list of the books that I kind of want to get through in September, October, and November, our burr months, and let's just fall right into them. That was corny. I'm sorry. Okay, the books. Yes, great. We will start off with a thriller series, and these books, like, they don't really feel like they match. Why is this cover so much like shinier? It's The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a 3-book series, so we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Good Girl, Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead. This one also feels so much chunkier. Oh yeah, it's almost 500 pages. Anyways, this essentially follows Pippa. Pippa lives in this town where a very pretty and popular girl named Andy Bell is found to be missing. That felt like it contradicted itself. Andy Bell was missing, okay? And who did it but her boyfriend, Sal Singh. Except that they never find her body because he unalives himself before they could like take him to jail. Anyways, Pippa doesn't believe that's true, and so she takes it upon herself to do her final project in school on this investigation and just take a second look and try to prove Sal innocent. And it just very much gives Fall to be investigating and doing detective work, and I'm not really sure why those two things go together, but they do. All right, don't ask any questions. Next, we have The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas, and I picked this book up solely because of the author. So she wrote a book that I think it was The Hacienda, if I'm not mistaken. That book was very fall. For what reason, I'm not sure. I already told you, don't ask questions. This one is about a demonic presence that awakens deep in a Mexican silver mine. And then the young woman it seizes must turn to the one man she shouldn't trust. So basically, Alba Diaz, there's a plague that sweeps Zacatecas, and she and her family, they flee to a mine for refuge. So her parents, her fiance, and her, they all go to this mine. And then suddenly Alba begins to suffer from strange hallucinations, sleepwalking, violent convulsions. And then Alba's fiance, Elias, and her kind of pair up, I guess, to get rid of this force. It says that in a fight for her life, Alba and Elias become entangled with the occult, the church, long-kept secrets, and each other, not knowing that one of these things will spell their doom. It's giving. He's gonna fall in love with his cousin's fiance. Now that's messed up. I don't think I had read the description of this book before filming this video, but it did seem very fall. And I do want to read it, and I did really like the book by this author. So let's hope this one's good too. The next book I want to read is Coraline. I think this is a horror book. Either way, I feel like it's really known for being very spooky. And I know that this girl and her parents, they go and have buttons sewed to their eyes. I don't know anything else about this book, but it's giving fall. And since we are getting increasingly spookier, we'll end the spooky category with Ring by Koji Suzuki. Basically, this book is the blockbuster nightmare of my childhood. Okay, so those movies that us millennials watched that terrified us when we were young, it was based on this book. And I didn't know it was a book, but I'm very excited to be reading it. Essentially, there's a videotape, right? They put it in, they watch it, and basically it warns them that if they don't do a certain thing, they're gonna be unalived. These 4 teenagers, they watch it, they're like, haha, yeah, okay. And then a week later, they all die from heart failure. So Asakawa is a journalist. They decide to investigate this situation with these 4 teenagers. I think his niece was one of them. And they're led to kind of like the rural side of Tokyo. Things are spooky, scary skeletons. It says he ends up in a countryside clinic. I don't remember the characters in this movie being Japanese, so I wonder if they Americanized it. Either way, I look forward to reading this and then rewatching that and seeing, are they really related? It seems like the concept of the book was taken and not necessarily. Actually, I don't know if the plot, because I haven't read the book yet, but okay. The Ring. It sounds spooky. We're here for that vibe. Let's move on. We've some Dark Academia. First and foremost, We Love You, Bunny. I read the first book. It's called Bunny. And this book felt like I was drugged without my consent. It was so odd. I was so confused and terrified the entire time. And I look forward to that feeling again. Yeah. Anyways, I have no idea what We Love You, Bunny has to do, but I know that Bunny was about a girl named Samantha, and she's a writing major. She has this like group of girls who are really perky, and they all call each other Bunny. They invite Samantha to something called the Smut Salon, and weird things are going amiss in this smut salon. I don't know if I could say anything else without ruining the book, but we'll just go with that. Are we learning that I am just not good with book descriptions? Okay, the next book we have is An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. This is the author that wrote A Dowry of Blood, and I just ate that book up. It was so good. And so I'm hoping that this one will be just as beautifully written. Like, honestly, that writing was insane. It was so good. And if I hadn't already read it, that book would be on this list. And catch this description, guys. It says, deep in the forgotten hills of Massachusetts stands St. Perpetua's College. Isolated and ancient, it is not a place for timid girls. Here, secrets and currency, ambition is lifeblood, and strange ceremonies welcome students into the fold. That gives spooky. Anyways, basically, this girl, Laura Sheridan, on her first day of school, gets into an academic rivalry with this girl named Carmilla, so it's definitely giving like vampire vibes again. S.T. Gibson seems to like that. And basically these two girls are just kind of make this interesting relationship with one of their professors, who also seems to have his own dark obsession with Carmilla. And then I'm just gonna read this last paragraph to you as well, because it just also really sounds really good. Like, sometimes these descriptions are really well written. This one says, as their rivalry blossoms into something far more delicious, Laura must confront her own strange hungers. Tangled in a sinister game of politics, bloodthirsty professors, and dark magic, Laura and Carmilla must decide how much they're willing to sacrifice in their ruthless pursuit of knowledge. I don't think I have to say anything else. Put it on the list. Okay. Then we have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I feel like I've had this book on my TBR for a long time and never had the actual urge to pick it up, even though it sounds like it could be good. And it'll be my first Ashley Winstead. Oh my god. Anyways, this one basically follows these 6 friends, and these friends in this friend group were torn apart when this girl named Heather was found dead. In fact, she was unalived by someone. So Jessica Miller, she graduated like 10 years ago. She has left, and now she's coming back. I don't know if it's like a reunion or something, but she's returning to Duquesne University, and she is finding herself reunited with this friend group of 6 people, and she thinks that everyone has moved on and that she's gonna come back and everyone's gonna be so jelly and like obsessed with her life and how great and beautiful and fantastic she is. But the plot twist is that not everyone has moved on like she has, and some people are looking for revenge. Sounds fantastic. We're gonna move right along into fantasy, because the next 2 books I have, I think, fall both into the dark academia and fantasy categories, and that is The Night Circus and The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Anyways, The Starless Sea follows this guy who is a graduate student, and he discovers this book with a story from his own childhood. That sounds absolutely terrifying. Anyways, it leads him to a secret underground library, which is like a sanctuary for stories. I don't know what that means, but basically it's timeless world accessed through magical doors that's threatened by some people that are trying to destroy it. Why? I'm not really sure, but it sounds magical and fantastic. The Night Circus, I think, is not dark academia at all, but it basically is this circus that just randomly like spawns and appears. No one knows where it came from. It wasn't like promoted or anything. There's these 2 young magicians, and they are basically have to have some kind of magical battle at this circus. However, they fall in love or like fall for each other in the process of this. However, no one cares how they feel. They still have to battle to the death or whatever. And apparently other people's lives are at stake in this circus, not just them. So love or not, whether they like it or not, they're gonna have to do this duel, and that's the tea. And actually, I don't know why I thought this was dark academia, but it does feel kind of fall, like fall magical vibes type. I don't know, it matches the mood. It goes on the list. Next, this is a book series that has mixed reviews. The people who love it really love it, and that's Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And I am just committed to finishing this universe, the Massiverse, whatever it is. But Throne of Glass specifically gives a very November, like, transitional into winter series, in my personal opinion. Why? I'm not really sure. I just get that feeling. So basically, this girl is an assassin and she was locked up and in prison, but one day she gets taken out, and the king is like, you can compete to be the king's champion. The king's champion is going to be the person who does all his dirty work, and you know her profession already, so you know what that means. And basically, she's just dueling against a bunch of criminals, poison makers, thieves, just not great people, to see who's going to be the king's champion. And then other little things are kind of going amiss as this competition is going on. That's what the first book is essentially about, and then it descends kind of into its own thing. So I'm 3 books into this series, and thus far there are not any fairies, but I have a feeling that we're gonna get some very soon. And it just gives magical, we're gonna defy the word, the rules, the words, the rules. We're going to defy what is possible in real life. That's what we're gonna go with. That's not what I want to say, but that's what we're gonna go with. I want to finish this series this fall/winter. I've hit them myself. I'm so sick of these people feeling like they need to blow leaves when I'm filming. They were not doing that when I started filming. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Maybe you won't even hear the leaf blowing, but it's really bothering me. The last series I would like to get into, because fall does kind of give like series vibes, you know, you kind of want to live in a certain world. Anyways, that's A Darker Shade of Magic. I don't know 100% what A Darker Shade of Magic is about, other than the fact that there are these like alternate versions of London. So like alternate reality, alternate universe. I think they refer to it as like the blue London, the red London, or something like that. I could totally have made that up. Either way, this is a series I think I could get down with. And then we get into romance. So I have this lovely, amazing, fantastic book called Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which I thought was really hilarious. And it follows a vampire and a werewolf who are entities that just are, they don't mesh well, okay? They're rivals. That's the word I wanted to use. Anyways, they defy this rivalry by having an arranged marriage between a vampire and a werewolf in order to kind of like create peace between the two beings, especially against the humans, because humans also dislike both of them. And the vampires are dying. They have to do something to save themselves, and that means combining forces with the werewolves. All of that is to say that I thought this book was really funny and hilarious, and the second book in this series is coming out this fall, and it's called Mate. So, I think it follows a friend of the main character and her love story. I could be wrong about that. Either way, I thought that, you know, like the werewolf vibes just really give fall, and so Mate seems like it would be the perfect book to read in the fall. And then we have If It Makes You Happy. And I don't know the author, but I'm sure I'm going to put her right here. And this book, I looked at the cover and I'm like, oh my god, that looks like Stars Hollow. It's giving Gilmore Girls. And so I needed to look further into it. And then I realized it was set in Vermont. Gilmore Girls is set in Stars Hollow, Connecticut. Therefore, it can't be based on Gilmore Girls, and I was a little bit disappointed by that. However, upon reading the description of this book, it does actually have a correlation, I guess. It is set in an inn in Vermont, and the author does say that it is heavily Gilmore Girls based. Like, it's marketed as Gilmore Girls combined with some other story. Either way, we have the gazebo, we have the dog that looks like Paul Anka, we have the Lorelai and Luke looking couple, and we're just gonna read it. Doesn't matter what it's about, and we're gonna hope for the best because we love Gilmore Girls.
Where you lead, I will follow anywhere that you tell me to. If you need me to be with you, I will follow where you lead.
All right, that's all we had, folks. I hope you enjoyed this. If you made it this far, leave me a brown leaf emoji in the comments. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to join the family, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will see you all when I see you next. Bye. This is going to change your life, okay? Swiss Miss hot chocolate, and you get the pumpkin pie spice from Trader Joe's, and you put a little bit of that in your hot chocolate. Your life will never be the same. Oh my gosh. And that like bread, the twisted bread, Trader Joe's in the fall is just, oh my gosh.